Hi, everyone, and welcome to Studio Jake. And today I have a very special treat. My friend, I call her the always stylish Hilary Kennedy from The Blaze. She is here today, but she is actually taking over. She is actually going to interview me. It's 10 years of Studio Jake, not of the YouTube channel specifically, but of my website, studiojakemedia.com. And so I'm going to let her take over for a change, and she's going to be handling this interview, and she is a master interviewer. I've seen several of her interviews before, so I'm very excited that she agreed to participate in this. Hilary Kennedy, welcome back, and I'll let you take over.
Well, I am super excited you asked me to be a part of this. So first, let me say congratulations. 10 years is such a huge accomplishment, and it's an exciting time. So I'm glad we're going to get to kind of talk about how things began and where they're headed. And so the first thing I want to talk to you about is what made you create Studio Jake Media? What was it that made you go, you know what I need to do? I need to create this company.
So it originally started with I used to write for this Christian movie review website, and I did a review of the movie Parker with Jason Statham. And I just kind of, one of the things, since it was a Christian website, they wanted to have a moral angle to all their reviews. And so in my review, I mentioned that it was a good B movie. Like I said, this is a good popcorn flick. I didn't really, like it as, cinema history or whatever. But and I said, listen, Parker is a thief. In no way, shape, or form should you emulate him or whatever. Just as a popcorn film, this might be a good one just to turn off your brain and enjoy. And they actually censored my review, and they totally changed it. And it really made me mad because I was like, well, I followed the rules. All I did was say it was a popcorn flick, and they totally changed it. They kept like one paragraph that I had written, and I was very angry about this. And I wrote the editor, and the editor never wrote me back. So I actually sent them my resignation, and originally it was, and I wasn't getting paid for this, by the way. This was a volunteer position. And so that's when the idea came that I would start my own website. And originally it was called Lone Star Daily. That was its original name, and it was more of a blog. And I thought, I'm going to put on my own reviews on my own website because I don't want to be censored with what I say about a film. And so I could make up my own rules. And the very first movie I reviewed was Batman Year One, which is an animated adaptation of the Frank Miller graphic novel Batman Year One, also titled. So that is kind of where it got started. And I had been talking about it for some time, but then we officially launched in June 30th, 2012, and it became Studio Jake Media. I believe in 2016 is when it took. I went through two other names, but it finally settled on Studio Jake Media, and that's been its permanent name since.
I love it. I didn't realize that it had other names in the process. That's pretty cool. So do you remember what your very first post on Studio Jake Media was?
Yes, it's still up. It was a welcome. I just said, hi, welcome. My name's Jacob Airy. I'm going to be reviewing film. It's very, very short. I just basically said, this is what I'm going to be doing here. And yeah, it's just, I think if you just search welcome, it's the first thing that comes up. It's still there. I did edit it whenever for the 5th anniversary because I had expanded, because originally I was just doing film, music, and books, and I expanded into television and anime and comic books. And so I had done that pretty early on, but I didn't actually update the post until about 5 years ago when I did expand. I was like, people need to know that I'm doing more than just movie, music, and books at this point. So yeah, that's kind of how it got. That was the very first post.
So that kind of leads me into what I wanted to ask you. How did you decide what topics you wanted to cover? Did you already have a pretty good idea? I mean, I know you were already going to do movies and probably some film, or some television, I mean. But how did you decide to kind of keep adding to those things? Is it all things that you just have a passion for and you thought, I want to just cover all of the things that I love the most? Or did you feel like there's some good commentary missing in the market in some of these categories?
Well, yeah, well, yes and no, because originally the website was way more political. If you look in my early years, I have way more political articles. So it's basically film and politics mainly, and then like every once in a while you would see a music review or an anime review. But it was very, very politically minded originally. I was just throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what would stick. And just over time, I came to realize, you know what, people can go everywhere for politics, and there are already great places like The Blaze that talk about politics, and shout out there. And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to shift more into the entertainment side, and I am a hobbyist. I collect comic books. I'm a frequent viewer of anime, and I just kind of got into the manga side of it. And so you'll probably see more manga reviews on my website as well. But it was it was just over time it kind of evolved where it just kind of became about pop culture and entertainment. And just yeah, it was just how I picked the topics was, yeah, it was just stuff that as a hobbyist it was stuff that I enjoyed. Comic books, anime, film, TV, and those kind of became the primary components.
That's pretty cool. I love that it's, kind of evolved. So you talked about this a little bit, but how would you say the site has changed over the years? Like, the addition of vidcast, that was a big change.
With vidcast, that started in 2016, and the original idea was it was just I was going to do trailer reactions. That was going to be its main thing, and because I just thought, oh, this would be kind of funny if I reacted. And some of the early movies, I was mainly doing indie movies and occasionally like a Marvel movie.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like I did a movie, I think it was called The Box, and it has I can't remember her name, but it has the actress from Handmaid's Tale. Or I'm sorry, it was called The Square. And it was just this awful movie, and people enjoyed that my reaction to the trailer because I just thought the trailer was just bizarre. And but I actually got copyright struck for my trailer reaction to Wonder Woman, which I did not, by the way, I did not put the trailer itself. It was me watching it on an iPad and just kind of looking at the camera with my expressions. But I got copyright struck by Warner Brothers. And I thought, well, I'm too small for YouTube to care to fight on my behalf. So that's when it kind of changed more when I went into the commentary side. I tried doing like an audio only podcast that wasn't really successful, but then just sort of my videos where I've just kind of talking and giving my thoughts about something, I got some real positive feedback on that, and that kind of became its mainstay. My wife is the producer of my vidcast, and she does an amazing job. She really helps me because when she kind of took over, as originally it was just me doing it, but when she kind of stepped in more in that producer role, she was like, your thumbnails are awful. And looking back now, yes, my thumbnails are pretty terrible. So she's really been helping me in that regard as well, just to polishing it off.
Yeah, she does a fantastic job. It always looks and sounds so good. I have a friend, hold on, that wants to join and wish you congratulations.
Oh,
so she kept hearing us talk and wanted to come over and wish you congratulations on 10 years. So, you've had a lot of really wonderful guests on your vidcast. You've had a lot of great people posting. What would you say has been your biggest achievement or your biggest success since starting StudioJake?
Honestly, my interviews. I love interviewing people. I love talking to people, and I think because what's special I think about StudioJake is it's pretty obvious I'm more on the conservative side of the political aisle. I make no secret about that. But I think I avoid being confrontational with my interviews. So I've been able to interview people who disagree with me, and that's something I'm very proud of. I've had movie makers on. I had the director of an indie horror film called Dreamcatcher, and I really enjoy talking with her. And and with other actors and directors. I had an actress on, and I was her first ever interview, and I thought that was really special. Her name was Lily Patra. She was in an amazing sort of coming of age film. It was her first feature film. And I really like talking with her. So, and also, just influencers. I've had on Lauren Chen, I've had on you, and I've had on Sarah Gonzalez, and just a whole host. Amanda Prestigiacomo of the Daily Wire. It's been that's probably been one of my favorite things. And of course, my panels. Every once in a while, I'll do panels with at least 3 other guests. I love doing that. So as far as vidcasting, I would say that is on my main website. I think it's my reviews. I really enjoy writing them, and this is more of a personal accomplishment. But I really enjoy writing them. I have fun, especially if I like the movie. I'm finding out because I wasn't really trained as a professional movie critic, like say Christian Toto of HollywoodandToto.com is. that I have a more someone described it as a more raw look at films, and that's something that I like. I like that unique side of it, and that's something really fun and something I'm very proud of.
Well, it's very relatable. I mean, I think that's what's so great about your site is so many of the articles and the videos you're listening and you're watching, and you can completely relate to your breakdown of a film or, you know, your insights about what's going on in pop culture. So that's one of the things that I've always really loved about you. Um, so you've kind of mentioned this in your last answer, but what is your favorite part of doing this job? What do you love the most? Is it the writing? Is it the interviewing? Is it actually watching the films or listening to the music? What is it?
It's the writing itself. I'm a writer by trade. I have published novels, and I've written for places like the Daily Wire, or I mentioned Hollywood and Toto, and Live Action News. And so the writing itself is fun. Even when I'm about to do a vidcast, I enjoy writing down. I don't do like a full on script, but I enjoy writing my points, what I'm going to talk about, what I'm going to recover. Or what I'm going to cover, and it's that part of it is probably my favorite part. Just writing in general is so much fun for me, and I enjoyed that part a great deal.
Do you have a favorite memory from the last 10 years? Maybe a comment that you made or someone that came on the show that you were like, wow, I can't believe I got to actually interview them or something like that?
I would say probably I think probably just my first interview is my favorite memory. I interviewed Misty Callahan. She's a radio producer in Chicago. I think now she does podcast producing, and she's currently in process of writing a graphic novel. She was my first interview, and I think that's my favorite memory is getting to do that for the first time and talking with someone and building rapport. And now I'm friends with her, and we keep in regular contact, and I'm hoping to have her back on StudioJake at some point. With her new job, it's a little harder for our schedules to mesh, but yeah, I think that's probably just the fact that I was able to go, oh, hey, I got someone to come on. And of course, I published that as a vidcast and as an article since it was my very first one. And that was a lot of fun. I think that's probably my favorite memory.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, it's like the first big interview or the first time you really like jump in with both feet. I feel like that's always just sort of solidified in your mind. It's like, all right, it was a good, like it brings the warm fuzzy feeling back.
Indeed.
So, you know, you're really on top of what's going on in the media industry. You have evolved as the industry has evolved. What sort of industry trends do you kind of foresee maybe taking place in the upcoming 5 to 10 years?
I think we're going to see theaters make a bigger comeback. I think I went on the Steve Cortez show last year, and I said because the people were thinking that because of streaming, COVID was going to just kill the movie theater, and I said I think that's premature because people were saying the same thing about VHS and DVDs. But the cinemas survived, and I said I think they're going to survive this, and I think Spider-Man No Way Home and Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and even Godzilla vs. Kong to some extent sort of proved this correctly. And I think we're going to see, I do think theater is going to evolve a little bit where it's going to be, go sort of back to where it's a family event, whereas especially in the 2015s kind of on, but pre-COVID, it became more about people were going for the individual experience. I like going to the theaters. It's really funny if my wife goes and hangs out with her friends. I'll go see a movie by myself. I have no problem doing that. I just love the experience of the cinema. But I think that we'll see a trend more where these family movies are going to become more popular and they're going to get larger theatrical releases. I really think that that is one industry thing I think is going to come around the corner. I could be wrong about that, but just based on the movies that are producing good returns in a post-COVID world, I think that that's where the industry is going to be headed.
Yeah, I really think that you're right. You know, during COVID, one thing that we did as a family was we rented out a theater when you were able to do that, since they wanted everyone to be socially distant. But I had a lot of friends that did that, and everyone sort of realized, wow, it's a lot of fun to experience a movie together as a family or as a group of friends and really make an event out of it rather than like, oh, we're just going to see a movie on a Saturday night. So I hope you're right about that, because it really, I think, sparked a lot of interest from us in doing family traditions of going to the movies, and that, people used to do 30 years ago, 40 years ago. So I hope you're right about that one. So, based on your experience from the last 10 years, what sort of advice would you give somebody who's kind of up and coming in the media industry and wants to do what you do?
Study up. Early on, I was very what's the word? I was very arrogant. I just thought that I'm going to write my first review. It's going to be Batman Year One, and people are just going to flock to my website. And that wasn't the case. It took me 10 years to build the audience that I have now, and I'm very grateful for my readers who come and look at my reviews and read my commentary and share it out. I'm very thankful for all of them. But study up. Don't just go into it blinding. Now, and pick and choose what you think will work for your website. One of the things that I learned early on was people were saying, be very, very genre specific. Don't talk about everything. Well, I didn't want to just be a movie review website. I also wanted to talk about television and books and music and anime early on. Like I said, maybe not anime early on. That that wasn't in my mind too early on. But just that was more that came later, obviously. But for me, it worked out where I talk about all forms of media. I'm able to get that in there. And music has kind of faded. I still do music reviews. I don't do them as much, but so that's kind of not as big a niche as it was early on. But find what works for you as far as topics and genre, and don't be afraid to experiment. Like I said, I was very political early on, and now I'm not so much anymore. I mainly focus on the entertainment side, on the pop culture side, and I'm a pop culture enthusiast. I'm a hobbyist. I love these topics. So if you write about something you love and you're passionate about it, like you said earlier, I really think that people will go for it. But do your research and pick a platform that works for you. I use WordPress, but that might not work for you. And there's plenty of other platforms out there that can cater to your specific needs. So do your research before you just jump into it, but also don't be afraid to take a few risks along the way.
I think that's great advice. And I love that you said, it takes a while. It doesn't happen overnight that people know exactly where to find you and what you do and kind of what your niche is. So I think that's solid advice. And you've done such an incredible job over the last 10 years of making it fun and entertaining and interesting. And I know we're all excited to see what the next 10 years is going to bring. So you'd better stick around.
Oh, yeah. I have no plans of going anywhere.
Wonderful. Was there anything else that you want to add before we close out?
No, just drop by the website. Come by StudioJakeMedia.com. Click on all the links. Check out my reviews and whatnot. And, I hope that you'll become a subscriber.
Yes. Well, everyone should go on and check it out because it's been fantastic and it just gets better and better and better. So thank you so much, Jacob, for letting me interview you today. This was a lot of fun.
Yes, it was. And again, Hilary, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. And happy 10 years to everyone at StudioJake.
That's right. Congratulations.
If you liked that video, I would really appreciate it if today was the day you chose to subscribe. Be sure to leave me a comment and tell me what you thought about the video. No matter what platform you are watching on, I'm on multiple, so please like the video, subscribe, leave me a comment, share it out. It really helps me in the algorithm. You can follow me on all my socials. They're in the video description. And be sure to head over to my website, StudioJakeMedia.com. If you would like to support me, head over to my locals page, which is StudioJakeMedia.locals.com. Sign up there. I've got exclusive content. I've got all the postings from my vidcast and from my website, not to mention links where you can purchase my novels. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you next time right here on Studio Jake.